Today I'm going to show you how to make thumbnails from reekid, VMT, jmancurly, and myself. Let's get started. First, press the create new button. Click on film and video. Make sure it's set to HGTV 1080p and then press create. To get rid of these blue lines, just press Ctrl H. We're going to be recreating this thumbnail right here. Also, I don't have the stick, so I'm also just going to use this arm with a toothbrush. First, what we need to do is we need to create an outline selection of this object. To do this, we can use the pen tool, which is just the P button on the keyboard, to place individual points and curves to outline this object. Some people like to use the object selection tool, some like to use some other tools. Doesn't really matter as long as you have a good outline. Once you have your selection in pen, you can then right click and then press make selection, OK, and then hit delete. Position it the way you want it to be. Find a good background for your image. Create some text, make it white, set the font to impact. This is the font that jmancurly uses, and set the stroke to black. The stroke thickness is just personal preference. Just checking back on the reference image. Setting the stroke size. Play with it a little bit because you never know what's going to be good. Use a slightly transparent brush that is set to the softest possible with the color black to just establish a nice vignette around the outside. Move the text behind the hand just like it's shown on the thumbnail. I just decided to make his hand blue because I thought it would be funny. Finally, add a vibrance layer by clicking on that button in the corner there and then adjusting these vibrance and saturation sliders to your liking. Finally, add a drop shadow to the hand and the text. Here's the final image. It looks way too saturated, but remember that this is going to be looked at 1/10 of this size, so it should look a little bit oversaturated. New canvas. Here's the reference image we're going to be working off. First, we need a hand, so I just took a screenshot from my latest video. Cut it out. We've already done this before. Position it and rotate it. We need a subject of the thumbnail, so I'm just going to use Vincador. I created two layers. One of them has the background in it, and the other is just the subject so that I can apply a stroke or outer glow to Vincador. Just using the stamp tool to remove the third-person camera in the corner. Here I'm just copy and pasting the picture that we're going to be putting over Vincador's face in the thumbnail. We need something for this abomination right here. Here's a broken VMT. Perfect. Since the original image has cartoon eyes, I couldn't be bothered to find the original, so I just used this creepy picture of a cartoon eye. Pain. Add the text. Pretty simple. Nothing to explain here. Now we're going to start adding the strokes to the objects. This just makes them pop out and look more interesting and grab your viewer's attention better. But first we gotta add this anime speed thing that he adds in every thumbnail. Color of the stroke that you want to use and width really depends on your own thumbnail. But for this one, this is what it looked like. Add a stroke to the hand and a drop shadow to the subject. Ow. Add drop shadow to the hand and adjust it to your liking. I changed the background color just so it looks better. Now finally, just adjust everything one more time, look at it from far away, and that should be it. Hey, have I told you why you should subscribe? It's because if you don't, then you will go to jail. We're going to be recreating this VMT thumbnail right here. For the subject of the thumbnail, I just took this picture of Billy. Separate the subject from the rest of the picture and then select and cut it out and stuff like that. Size it correctly if it isn't already the size you want it to be. I added the background back in because I thought it looked better with it. Move around the text till it looks good. Adding a red arrow here is important because although VMT doesn't do this on the thumbnail, it points towards the subject of the thumbnail. Play with the vibrance and saturation just to make it pop out more when it's on the YouTube homepage. Rearrange, add stroke to the subject, add an outer glow, add a drop shadow, move the text. It doesn't really matter what you do, it's all up to personal preference and what you think looks good. Add a vignette to the picture just like in J-Man's thumbnail, and that's about it. Here's the final picture. Just remember you're looking at it 1/10 the size. Now, before I get into how I make my thumbnails, if you want to do it exactly how I do it, go out and take a picture of the subject of the thumbnail in multiple angles, that way you have stuff to work with. First, take a picture of the background that you want the thumbnail to have. Cut out your subject just like we did in the past two thumbnails. If your colors are off like mine were because I took this picture a long time ago when the lighting was weird, you can use this white balance tool to make sure it looks fine. Don't worry about it. Size up the subject, rotate and adjust its position, adjust the vibrance and saturation of the image. Now we're ready to move on to the text. Create your text box. That's the first thing you want to do. Add stroke to the text box. This is really important because it makes them pop out. Now to make the kind of text in this thumbnail that I made here and this other thumbnail right here, first you need to find the image you want to use as your text. This is pretty simple. It can be literally literally anything. You need to rasterize your text, that way you can erase on it. Create a new layer underneath the text layer. Now merge the text and this new layer, that way these stroke pixels, the black ones, become actual pixels that you can manipulate. Select only the white text and delete only the outside of the text on the picture layer. Select only the white pixels and get to erasing. As you can see, this creates a nice wavy effect where it looks like there's some white text, but there's also a sea of colored text. Here's the final result. I hope you enjoyed watching. This took me 2 weeks to make. So please hit the like button, press subscribe, doesn't matter what you do. I don't know. I can't force you to do anything.